All right, y'all. So there's a new article out here on Mediaite about RFK Jr.'s campaign and how there's been a mass exodus of his top staffers. So let's go through it, and I'll break it down as we go here. And the reason why this is interesting is because, I got to be honest with you guys, usually this is the first place that they go to do a hit piece if they don't like the candidate. Is, they're really mean, or the staffers don't like them, or people are fleeing, etc. So we're going to go through it, and I'm going to try to separate fact from fiction and tell you guys whether or not this is just a smear job or if there's a real issue here. So title is, The Campaign is a Mess. RFK Jr. hit with staff exodus over lavish spending and amateurish leadership. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign is in disarray amid an exodus of campaign workers who say disorganization, lavish spending, amateurish leadership, and a severe disconnect between the campaign and the candidate's values have led the long-shot bid for the presidency astray. 14 members of Kennedy 24 have resigned since the start of the year. 14, including 12 field staff and 2 main staff, according to multiple sources who spoke with Mediaite on the condition of anonymity. One source close to the campaign pinned the turmoil on 2 leaders, Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, campaign manager, and Kennedy's daughter-in-law. So Amaryllis Fox Kennedy is Kennedy's daughter-in-law. So her and Del Bigtree, hilarious name, an anti-vaccine activist who serves as the campaign's communications director. The source described Fox Kennedy and Bigtree as self-serving operatives who were making decisions based on their own personal advancement opportunities and not acting in the best interest of the candidate. A major point of contention within the campaign has been the eye-watering payouts to campaign leadership revealed in FEC reports. Bigtree's firm, KFP Consulting, was paid $35,000 in December. It has made $90,000 off the campaign in total so far. Starlight Saint, the LLC registered to campaign COO Matthew Sanders, makes $21,000 a month. More Beautiful World, the LLC registered to campaign advisor Charles Eisenstein, made $21,667 a month in October, November, and December 2023. So those are big numbers. Those are big numbers for a campaign like RFK Jr.'s. The source said lavish spending of Bigtree and others is also a point of contention among campaign workers, recalling one incident when Bigtree joined a Zoom call from a skiing resort. Dell is running around spending money lavishly, another source said. He's doing Zoom calls from the slopes with champagne while many people are volunteers and not getting paid. Fox Kennedy, meanwhile, hired her nanny, Bridget Rasmussen, as chief of staff, which was seen internally as a sign of incompetence for the director of a presidential campaign. A second campaign worker also griped about the hiring of Fox Kennedy's nanny as the campaign's chief of staff. Although Bridget is a nice young woman, she has no idea how to operate in her role and is inexperienced. This is merely one red flag that indicates total incompetence. So look, to that point, I would say large amounts of money going to, these various consultants. That's a big red flag. The thing where it's like they hire somebody they know. Me personally, I don't think that's a big deal. You hire people who, in a scenario like this, you're going to hire somebody who you think is going to do the work and also be loyal. And so that's not as big of a deal to me. How much do you value, quote unquote, experience? That's an open question, right? Some people value it a lot. Other people would look at that and say, people who are experienced in politics, I'd rather have an outsider than somebody experienced because the experienced ones are part of the problem, right? So that one doesn't bother me so much, but we're going to get to the main claim here in just a second. The campaign is not run like a business, one source said. There's no professional environment. It feels like a spring break party cruise. Dell has been heard on multiple occasions saying, "We are like rock stars, and this is like being on tour with a rock band." Okay, so they go on here. Dennis Kucinich obviously left the campaign, former Democratic congressman. He was running the campaign, and he left. By the way, it's an open question how many people were with the campaign and then left the campaign specifically because of RFK's position on Israel. He was getting a lot of play online, a lot of support online from like right-wing populist types and enlightened centrist types, right? Just people who just want anything different from the status quo. He was getting a lot of play. And then when he took the stance he took on Israel, being rabidly pro-Israel, just as much as Donald Trump or Joe Biden, A lot of people soured on him, and I'm sure he saw some staffers leave over that specifically. They go on to bring up here a letter from one of the people who left the campaign. And I want to share it. I actually think they have two separate ones here. These are people who left the campaign. And I want to read them to you and get to like the heart of the problem, okay? One of them says, after deep reflection, I can no longer continue to serve alongside the leadership of your campaign while I remain wholly committed to the values and principles you espouse. The day-to-day management of the campaign has failed to live up to the values of this endeavor. You're the best candidate I've ever had the privilege of serving, and it pains me to inform you that your campaign operation is by far the worst I've ever been a part of. You deserve better. Your supporters deserve better. Things have come to a head, and prayerfully following my heart, I can no longer continue to serve in an organization so rife with such moral and professional turpitude. It brings me no pleasure to share that your campaign leadership is severely mismanaging your bid for the White House. I cannot in good conscience lend my talent, time, and efforts to an organization that is so amateurish, cavalier, and out of touch with the American voter. Thank you so much for the hard work you've put into this race. I look forward to casting my ballot for you, but respectfully refuse to be part of an organization I feel is so misdirected. So it's interesting because there's a person who still has personal loyalty to him, but they're like, I can't be a part of this thing. It's a mess. All right. So they go on to point out, I'm not going to go through the whole other letter, but they go on to point out in the article that a lot of the people who are fleeing, they're screaming, hey, man, I know you're an outsider. I know you're an insurgent candidate, but that's no excuse to not have people who know what the fuck they're doing to make this successful. And the big concern that a lot of people are pointing out is you guys are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic, but nobody is paying sufficient attention to ballot access. In other words, the point from these people is like, I'm not going to be associated with this thing when the ship sinks miserably because you only got on 12 ballots or whatever it is. They're like, I can't be a part of that. Basically, they're like, nobody is seriously working enough on ballot access to guarantee you actually will get on the fucking ballots. Well, on that point, it's what I warned you about from the beginning. Now, to be fair, it's not just RFK. Cornel West is also looking at the same thing. Anybody who tries to run as an independent finds out very quickly just how immensely rigged it is against running as an independent. Ross Perot ran in the 1990s. He got 19% of the popular vote, but didn't get a single electoral college vote. And then after that, the Democratic and Republican parties got together and said, we need to never allow something like this to happen again. Let's rig it even more against independents. They're never going to get into the debates, ever. The process to get on the ballots is convoluted. It changes state by state. In some states, you have to make up your own party, as Cornel West had to do recently, the Justice for All Party or whatever he's calling it. That's because to just get on as an independent without having your own party is harder, if not impossible. And so the point that a lot of these people are making, who still like RFK and support RFK and are going to vote for RFK, is I'm not going to be the one to blame when everything goes down because nobody's fucking paying attention to the thing that it should be all hands on deck for, which is ballot access. So look, on some of the criticisms, it's whatever, right? Like I don't care about that they hired somebody who he has, a relative working and they hired somebody who works with them, or I don't care. That's fine. There can be instances like that where the person is perfectly competent and does a great job. The big payouts to the consultants, that's a little more of an issue. When a lot of people are working for free and you're throwing colossal amounts of money at others who are close to you, that's more of an issue. The spring break frat-like environment, well, that doesn't necessarily have to be an issue if you can still dot your I's and cross your T's and do all the hard work necessary. But to me, the biggest issue and the biggest red flag is I don't think they're going to get ballot access on that many state ballots. I really don't. It would be hard enough if everybody was firing on all cylinders. It'd be hard enough. But apparently, according to many of the people who are fleeing, they're not. Right? So they're about to get a rude awakening. As of right now, he's only on one ballot, the state of Utah. One ballot. Yeah, I mean, you mix all these things I just told you with the fact that I'm sure he took a massive hit with his position on Israel. Because remember, he was portraying himself as, I'm the anti-war guy. I'm the pro-peace, anti-war candidate. And his big thing was like, we need to stop supporting Ukraine, get to the peace table with Russia. And a lot of people looked at that and said, yeah, I agree with that. I could support him. And then in the next breath, he's like, send more money to Israel and let them wipe out Gaza. And it's like, okay, well, if you say you're the peace guy, that's not very pro-peace. Now, is it? So he lost a lot of support over that. But again, the biggest thing is apparently on the technical stuff behind the scenes, the stuff that you absolutely need to keep a campaign going. And now when he's swinging and missing. If you don't have a solid team with experience working on this ballot access thing, good fucking luck. And it sounds like he doesn't have that.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.